All right, I'll give it a try.
No. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Smart Wars podcast. Yes, life lessons from the perspective of a New England Jedi. So as you just heard, a little sound clip, a little audio clip from what is arguably the best Star Wars movie. We have our favorites, but for the majority of Star Wars fans out there, The Empire Strikes Back tops them all. And with this little clip, we heard Luke basically showing a lack of confidence in himself. Then Yoda responds with a definitive no. Try not. Do. Or do not. There is no try. That quote in itself is absolutely applicable to not just the Star Wars universe, but it's applicable to so much in life. Because we're all confronted with a decision to make at some point. And it could be a decision that will absolutely change our life for what we know it. It could change your circumstances in the immediate moment, but it could be something long term. One way or another, you have to make a choice. Now, we're going to look at a couple of examples. I'm going to give you some examples of my life and some things that I did. But we're going to kind of discuss and break down Luke's mindset in this situation and to see whether or not it could be applicable to your life, to my life, or possibly even the life of somebody that's close to you. Because with life being the way it is right now, with all these complications and the coronavirus going wild around the world, we might be confronted with situations and circumstances where we don't know exactly what to do. So what does that mean for us as individuals? So what do we need to do? What is important in life is for us to be focusing on circumstances that surround whatever decision it is that we're trying to make. And we have to somehow cut out the emotions, which if you paid attention to, the entire Star Wars storyline, especially in The Empire Strikes Back, dealing with, what Luke was struggling with, trying to learn the ways of the Force and trying to become a Jedi and doing his absolute best. And then he started to experience visions and he began to, see his sister, which at that point he didn't even know was his sister. And he saw his friends, he saw everybody that he was close to. And so his emotions got involved. And sometimes that becomes the most complicated aspect of life, is when your heart gets involved. When that, have you ever seen that picture of a brain and a heart, and the brain is saying, I'm with idiot, or I'm with stupid? Because in all honesty, the emotions are blind. And I say that because emotions oftentimes blind a person to making a logical decision, because emotions become so incredibly overwhelming and so powerful that it blocks us from seeing what we need to do. And instead we become so overwhelmed with what we want to do. And that was a situation, and we'll talk about that a little bit in this podcast. Now, why is this important to you? Well, the reason why it should be important to you is because of the fact that you're going to, at some point, come across a circumstance where you're going to have to make a decision that, one, may not be exactly what you want to do, but also it might not be the most popular decision. In other words, you might not get the support that you want from those that you feel are closest to you. The reality is you have to end up making a decision that's going to be in your best interest. And that's going to basically provide positive and consistently good results. It's not always easy to do because you never know what's going to happen. That's why, in another part of the Star Wars universe, Yoda had said, always in motion the future is. So it's, you never know what life is going to present to you as time goes on. So in two aspects of my life, now if you don't know me personally, I'm a descendant from a long Italian heritage. I grew up in Massachusetts. I now live in the South. My accent sticks out like a sore thumb down here. But I'm proud of my roots. there's aspects of decisions in life that I'm not proud of. There's aspects of my family life that I wish were different, but I can't focus on those things because if I'm constantly thinking about the what ifs and can I change this, can I change that, I'm never going to get anywhere. And that's the same with you. We can't focus on the past, we have to focus on now. But when it comes to looking at our past, we have to look at it from the perspective of what can I learn from this? What is it I can learn from that's going to help me to become a better person, that's going to help me to reach another level in life so that as time goes on, I can make better choices, I can be a better person, and I can provide better for those who, are in my life. So, and there's probably going to be some of you that, that do know me, that listen to this, and you might not really fully appreciate, well, you may not like, that's what I'll say. You might not like what I'm about to talk about, and it's probably because I made the decision to walk away from it. Out of the last 15 years of my life, I spent 10 of them involved in an area of business called multi-level marketing. A lot of people, because of a number of companies out there have looked at it as pyramid schemes. And in some cases, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I've gotten involved with some and then my money disappeared. And the company just they didn't treat anybody right. Now, I got involved because of what I've seen other people do. I know individuals that, they're with a company that's fantastic. Honestly, what the company provides product-wise and in a lot of cases leadership-wise, absolutely fantastic. And in at least one case that I know personally, the guy is making millions. And because I know his background, I know who he is on a personal level. This is not some, sleazy guy trying to take money from you. He is genuinely interested in helping people succeed. And he's a millionaire from his efforts. And I have nothing negative at all to say about him. I think he's a great, great guy. But after 10 years of me not getting anywhere, and this is me putting forth a significant amount of effort, contacting a lot of people, reaching out, trying to share my vision and a vision for the future, I was miserable with it. I literally hated what I was doing. And if you've ever been in a job or a business or something like that just brought out the absolute worst, why would you keep doing it? If it brought the worst out of you, if it just made you miserable, why would you continue doing it? Now, let's compare this again to, what this, the main topic of this podcast is all about, Star Wars. If you look at Luke Skywalker, right? You're looking at him. Now, he put forth a lot of effort to learn the ways of the Force. Now, initially, his reason changed as time went on. Because if you remember A New Hope, he lost his family and he was like, well, I got nothing here now. I want to go with you. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father. So his reason was one thing, we had one reason at this point, then it changed as time went on. But as time grew, he began to see a greater good. And there may have been things that he struggled with, like adapting to these new experiences, new feelings, all these new things he was learning. There may have been a struggle, but his passion stayed the same. He had that desire to keep going. He had that desire to help others. Now, I'm not here to talk about multi-level marketing or, businesses, and I'm not trying to promote anything. My point of using this illustration is that sometimes in life, you might get involved in something for a significant amount of time, and you might be upset with yourself by saying, well, good grief, I spent all this time, all this effort, all this money, all this training, and it got me nowhere. And you might be upset about it. Or you could look at it from the perspective of, look what I've learned. Look what I've gained. So in 10 years of network marketing, I've learned to improve on my communication skills. I've learned to improve on how I communicate with people. But I also recognize that it's not for everyone. And it's okay to say no. And that's something I've struggled with my entire life, is those two letters, N-O. It's okay to say it. Because you know what? My life's going to keep going. The person I said no to is going to keep going. So if something presents itself to you that you don't like how it sounds, you don't like how it makes you feel, give yourself permission to just say no to it. Walk away. It's okay to say no. I mean, look at what Yoda did to Luke instantly. If you listen to that quote, as soon as Luke had said, all right, I'll give it a try. I'll give it my best. I'll do what I can. He was like, no. No, you're not going to just give a little bit of effort. You got to make the decision to do or do not. Now, another example that I'd like to use, excuse me, is it's kind of personal. And I'm not going to go into full detail because there's really no reason behind it. But I had to make a decision in my first marriage. And I had been married for a while to this woman. And I did have a measure of love for her. But I had to be, I just basically began to realize that I wasn't in love with her. And I just kept lying about one thing after another. And truth be told, my Jedi friends, I hated myself. Now, it's my fault that the marriage ended. I'm the one that messed up royally. Like, this wasn't just a tiny little mistake. This wasn't me leaving the toilet seat up. This was me really, really messing up. It was bad. Now, the consequences of my decision was I ended up homeless. I slept out of my car for a little while, and I eventually found a little hotel, and I stayed there for a couple of nights. And then a friend of mine said, well, you can stay at my place, but only for a week, and then you got to go. So it was constantly one place after another, after just having nowhere to go and realizing I just completely ruined my life. I had to make the decision to stop lying. I had to make that decision because I got into this pattern. It was a very, very bad pattern of just one manipulative lie after another. And basically, when you start one lie, guess what? Then you got to become creative and have a new lie to cover up the first lie. And it just becomes a mountain. It becomes this unstoppable force of nothing but lies. And you know who it benefits? Nobody. I had to just get to the point of saying, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. And I hated it. I hated what I was doing to her. Because the truth is, she deserved better from me. She absolutely deserved better. And I regret every single bad thing I did to her. She's a lovely person. And I do hope that she finds the true happiness that she deserves. And from what I hear, she did. Which is great. But I just had to get to that point of saying, I can't keep lying to you. I hated myself for opening up and telling her all the trash that I did. I hated it. And it was a terrible conversation. She slapped me across the face. I deserved it. She threw all my stuff at me. I deserved it. Now, I had a goal because I knew we kind of needed to separate. I knew we did. And the goal was not to just separate and never get it back together. The goal was to separate and try to work things out and get all that garbage, yes, I said it, garbage out of my system. I needed to get clarity. I needed to figure my life out. And, well, it didn't work. She said, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And I had to deal with the consequences. So that happens in life. Now, again, you can look at your life and the decisions that you made, and even if there was a poor decision, and you could sit there and just, cry about it and, be a whiny little Sith. Because the truth is, if you pay attention to all the Sith Lords, well, you can't really say the same about Darth Bane or maybe Maul. But if you paid attention to Palpatine and Vader, they were kind of whiny. Especially when, like, Mace Windu was fighting, Palpatine, and then, pretty much this was the point where Palpatine was going to be wiped out. This was really that point. And how did Palpatine respond? He was like, no, please, don't kill me. I'm too weak. It's like, dude, come on. Come on, seriously. You can shoot lightning out of your fingers and you're telling us you're too weak? Don't give me that garbage. That's crap. Get up and fight like a man. So, and then, Anakin comes in. He's like, no, I need him. And honestly, you could see it was just whiny. It was pathetic. Now, granted, yes, Revenge of the Sith was great. It really was. But that's the point of the Sith, is they're just whiny, and that's, they're always focused on the past and trying to get more power. In life, you can't focus on the past because the past will hold you back. If you do focus on the past, it should be, the idea of looking back to find what positive things are there so that your future will be better. Anakin only focused on the negative. Palpatine just wanted power. Unlimited power. And look what it resulted. Eventually, he got taken out. So you can't focus on the negative. You really can't. Now, what was Luke's mindset in this particular situation, in between him and Yoda? Because Yoda's really trying to show him a bigger world, a bigger universe. There's so much more out there that Luke could learn. And it wasn't just, lifting rocks, as, Rey had said. It wasn't just that. He was learning balance and recognizing that there was something big inside of him that could really grow into something absolutely unstoppable. And that's what he was supposed to be learning. But Luke's mindset was so focused on his emotional state, his feelings, his friends, and he was constantly distracted. And that lack of confidence is what held him back. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about that in another podcast. But he had that, he just lacked confidence in himself. Now, this is a man whose lineage was powerful. I mean, his dad was Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one. And he's sitting there going, I can't do it. It's impossible. And that's, he showed the signs of a Sith Lord because, eventually when Vader revealed who he was like, no, that's impossible. Or, if you get a kick out of the whole Star Wars bad lip reading, he was like, kids are cruel, flower. If you haven't watched that, you got to watch it. It's hysterically funny. It truly is. But he had that conflict within him. He really did. It was a conflict deep within inside of him. And so, when those emotions came up, he had to make a decision. And no matter how much Yoda and Obi-Wan tried to tell him, hey, look, you got to stay here. You got to finish your training. He was like, but I can't sacrifice my friends. And Yoda had said, if you honor what they believe or what they fight for, yes, you will. Because they were fighting for something. And they were fighting for something big. And because of his emotional attachment, he almost ruined everything. So understand that. That's something that really all of us need to truly comprehend deep within inside of us. If we give into our emotions, if we focus on what we feel, now a gut feeling is a little bit different from what our emotions tell us. Because emotions are absolutely blind and they're ignorant. Because it basically kind of cuts off that communication between your brain and your heart. The brain's basically calculating, so many thousands of times a second, telling you which way to go. This is the better choice. This is the better choice. And your heart's like, that's funny. I want to go over there because that's where she is and she's pretty. It's like, dude, shut up. Stop listening to your heart. Do what's right. So that's really what it comes down to, friends. So if you look deep inside yourself when it comes to a decision you're trying to make, what is holding you back? If you've got something in front of you, let's say, for example, it is somebody that you want to date, or it's a job opportunity, or it's some career aspiration that you want to reach out for. What's holding you back? Do you lack the belief in yourself that you can't do it? That's garbage. Absolute garbage. Of course you can do it. If you can think it, you can create it. Plain and simple. And if you don't believe it, go try it. Because that's what I've done here. Now, I'm doing this podcast for something that I enjoy, that I'm passionate about. And if you don't believe I'm passionate, listen to the tone of my voice. But it's not about me. Yes, I have my long-term goals. My goal is to eventually somehow end up on the radio. Now, I'm in my 40s. I don't have time to go to school. I'm trying to do this on my own effort. I want to end up somehow in radio broadcasting. That's a big goal of mine. It's something that I've thought about for years, but I kept focusing on something that made me miserable. And I said, you know what? Done. I'm not doing this anymore because I'm sick and tired of feeling like a failure. I'm sick and tired of doing stuff I don't like. I'm sick and tired of trying to convince people to do something that I'm not convinced in. Go after your dreams. Go after it. And don't try, go and do it. Start taking steps. Now, it might be just tiny little steps, but that's okay. Because one small step is truly better than no step at all. And guess what? What if you win? Now that, my friends, will be a day to celebrate. It'll be a bigger day than when the galaxy celebrated the decline and demise of the Empire. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I truly hope you gained something from it. I truly hope you appreciated it. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please do me a favor, smash that like button. Do me another favor, go ahead and subscribe. So as another podcast comes up, you'll be able to listen in and you'll be able to share it among your friends. I thank you so much for joining me. Hope you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day, and may the Force be with you.